Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Well, I decided to challenge myself because I talk about it a lot but I never actually do it, about doing a virtually all white card. And I'm going to talk to you through what, in my opinion, you need to do if you want to do a white card, because you don't want it to be totally flat and boring and just lots of white. So today's card is a mixture of some Lisa Horton products and some Chloe's Creative Cards products. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? White on white does not have to be boring, and I'm going to give you some top tips on how to make sure your white on white projects really do pack a punch. So just to warn you, when I finish the video, these few little green leaves just here weren't on, but I had a look and I thought they were missing, so I added those in. So a little bit of artistic license there. Hope you'll forgive me for that one. But have a look at how I made this. I'm always looking to do different style cards, as you know. So today's card is probably the nearest I've done to a white card forever, for the longest time. So I feel personally, when I'm doing white cards, if you're going to take out the colour, you need to put something else in. So I then put in texture, because you can't have flat white on flat white. So this is how I work. So I'm going to start with using Lisa Horton's padded quilt embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder, so make sure you adjust your plates accordingly. And it looks like this. It looks just like a padded cushion or piece or quilt. So it's a 6-inch folder, so I cut my card to 5.5 inches, because remember, you've always got this border around the outside and I don't like to see that. So I found that if I cut that to 5.5, look at that, that fits, you can see, absolutely perfectly. So put that through your die cutting machine. If you've got a regular die cutting machine, you do the shim. I'm going to use my manual machine, so I don't, because it's a 3D one, you don't need to use any shim. So I'm going to pop that through and then I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. Look at that. That has embossed. Look at that. Even the deboss is gorgeous, but look at the emboss. It's almost like cracked. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? So much texture and dimension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that straight onto my card. So I've taken a pre-bought 6-inch card and I put some matte mirror on there. Well, it's some satin rather. And I'm going to pop this onto here. So you can see I've just left the tiniest little border around the outside of that. And we're going to pop that on. So yeah, like I say, if you're going to swap colour out, personally, I think you've got to put texture in. It's entirely up to you, but you know, you've got to do something, haven't you? Otherwise, it's just going to be plain paper, effectively. So we need to bring some interest in. So let's pop that on there. There we go. And remember, you are going to need a little bit more glue than you normally would when you're doing something like a 3D embossing folder, because the glue's going to seep up. That keeps trying to lift. Must have some glue there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that on with my water spray, because it's heavy, just to hold that down while we make the rest of the card, so that that glue can bite. There we go. Right, just do my glue up. So now we've done that, I needed to do something quite interesting. So I bought these. This is from Chloe's Creative Cards, and I bought these one time. Oh, probably best part of a year ago, maybe not, something around that. It's called the Summer Foliage Corner. And it stamps and dies. And I got them when they were on a really good offer. It was something stupid like £5, I think. So I'm just looking for the die now, which is there. Lost that. So what you get is you get this stamp. I'm going to turn it round. No, that is the right way around. No, it's that way. That's easier to show. Right, so you get this stamp. If I pull the stamp off, you can see. So you can stamp it onto your project. So I could stamp it onto my project. And then what you can, if you want it, so often with Chloe when she does them, she'll stamp it once onto the project, stamp it again, and then you get the coordinating die to cut them out. So you can see that will then cut those out. And then you can put these as 3D on top of that corner. We're not going to do it quite like that. So you can see that's how it looks when it's stamped out. You get so many sentiments. I forget about the sentiments that come with different stamps as well. I've got a box just to the side of me, just over there, of my sentiments, but I forget sometimes that there is so many more everywhere else. You know, a best friend helps you write them. There we go. That's gorgeous. have a lovely day. A good friend knows all your stories. Lots of lovely sentiments. So what I've already done is I've heat embossed this on a scrap of paper. So again, another good one for scrap busting. Don't worry that that's come off, because all I'm going to be doing is cutting that out like that. But as well as that, I thought I would heat emboss it onto some vellum. We've been doing quite a lot with vellum recently. I just think it's such a versatile material to use in your crafting. So pop it onto my stamp block. Because I'm heat embossing, I do always like to use my stamping platform, because I like to do more than one stamp. So I'm going to be a little bit, let's make sure it's on that blue card. I'm going to be a little bit careful, and I'm going to pop it onto here. I'm just going to bring the magnets up a little bit, not too close. Actually, having said that, when it's vellum, I sometimes find it sticks. So often with vellum, I only get one shot at stamping it, just because it lifts. Now I'm using a pigment ink. This is silver. I don't think this is actually the ink that came on it. I think I've re-inked this ink pad, because it's very, very juicy. So I think it's a re-inked one, which I do with all my key colours, re-ink them all the time, because especially if you're embossing, you want it to work. So I think I might only get one stamp, just because it's going onto vellum and it does sometimes try and lift. So let's make sure I've got the perfect stamped image. Remember, I'm not stamping these bits here. I'm only stamping the flowers. And then we can use this. So if you lift that, can you see, look, the vellum's lifted. Oh, that's not lifted too much, but look at that. It's stamped perfectly, absolutely brilliantly. You can see, hopefully you can see that. So onto there, I need to pop some embossing powder. So I'm going to go silver onto silver, just to get a really good colour. You could go on with, if you've done a silver ink pad, that's why you have your clear embossing powders, if that's what you want. So then we can put that onto there, and then that will slide down like that. So you can see where the embossing powder's gone. I haven't even put what do you call it, anti-static bag over, because I knew it was going to be all right. If I've got a little bit too much, I can always just scrap it off. There we go. So that's going on there. So now I need to heat emboss this. Now, another thing, heat embossing on vellum is really, really quick. Just plugging that in. Watch this go. Absolutely perfect. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to cut it roughly. Now, sometimes when you die cut vellum, it can crack. So this is my top tip. When you're doing something like this, I'm going to pop this on top of here and I'm going to line it up. I'm going to take a minute to make sure it's absolutely perfectly lined up. And you should be able, it's the same stamp, so you should be able to get it to line up perfectly. Now you can cut these separately, but like I say, sometimes vellum cracks when you try to die cut it. Now that is a perfect match. So all I'm going to do is get a nice new piece of tape, and I'm going to tape that onto there so it can't move. And actually what I might do, I'm just going to get another piece and put it on the back just there. There we go. So that vellum hopefully shouldn't move. And now I can line up my die, pop it on there, make sure it's in place. I'm just going to lift it up to, I've dropped that, lift it up to look at it, because I'm going through both layers. So I need to make sure it really, and actually you can, because it's heat embossed, I can actually feel when it clicks into place. So that is perfect. It was until I put it down and moved it. Let's see if I can get it back where it was. There we go. And I'm going to put some tape. Where do I want to put my tape? I'm going to put my tape there, straight across there. And this now will go into my small die cutting machine. So I can grab my Gemini Mini or whatever your one of choice is. I'm just going to fold just going to trim that down because I think this piece of paper might have been about 3 inches wide, this white card. It was just sticking out a little bit. There we go. So the great thing is these dies will go through your smaller machines and then through my die cutting machine. Back it comes. There we go. Ooh. So I think you've worked out the colour theme for this. It's all lovely silver and white. And now, because I've used the white as like a matte layer, it's cut it out. Oh, my tape's on. I was like, why is it not coming out? Let's just peel that off, peel that vellum off, and then I can take that tape off because it's just holding there. There we are, pop those out. It's just taking a minute to pop, there we go. Oops. Now that's because it was 2 layers and there was a bit of tape, it just didn't cut that bit through, but that's not a problem. We can take that off. And this one, has it cut it? There we are, it has. There we go. Just caught a little bit just there. Oh, she didn't catch just right in the middle. Okay, so that is the flowers as they come. So you can see in one pass, I've got 6 lovely flowers. Now, when I shape, I like to do a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut round these just down there. I'll speed this up so that you can see. So I'm just going to cut all 6 lines. Not too far down to the middle, otherwise you will cut through. There you go. So that is all 6 of those cut through. So they look amazing. Now, I think when I did my practice ones, because I needed quite a few, I did them with tacky glue. But today I think I've just put my heat gun on. So if this is warm, yeah, I'm going to do it with hot glue today. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flowers, turn them over, and I'll use the larger of my 2. This is my smallest ball tool that I've got. The larger one first, just add a bit of shape. Now, sometimes when you do this, especially on vellum, look, you can see sometimes a little bit of your embossing will come off. But don't worry, it's not the end of the world. It won't be noticeable once you actually, you know, finish off. So don't be panicking about that. There we go. Just round there. Turn them over into the centre. And into the centre, and then what I'm going to do is the smallest blob of hot glue, just like that, then stagger, and then ball tool in the centre, and the ball tool will just press down just while that hot glue dries. It'll flatten the glue, but then it means that my petals will stay in an upright position. There we go, like that. So let's do the next ones. You can still see those, yep. So this ball tool's got something on and it doesn't come off. I just have to be careful because it means it doesn't roll if I use that little bit, but that's fine. I just don't have another ball tool this small. Top tip, if you are looking for new ball tools, don't necessarily look for them as paper craft. Sometimes ball tools for cake making can be a lot cheaper. You can get like metalwork ball tools that are a lot cheaper. As soon as they are branded with paper craft or flower making, they become ridiculously expensive. So if I can share any top tips with you, that would be it. Just look for ball tools for things other than paper craft. They're exactly the same, they're just maybe not branded in such pretty packets or something like that. So yeah, there we are. It's the same with a lot of craft products. You use the same products as people might do in other activities, but as soon as they are branded with paper craft, they seem to increase in price. Things like your blending brushes, makeup blending brushes are a lot cheaper, but they are actually the same thing. So yeah, just look around when you're trying to buy your tools. Put that one there, move my glue gun out of the way, put that one on. So your ball tool just, that was quite flat, but as soon as you press, look, you can see it comes up. Just hold it while that glue sets. Hot glue dries nice and quick. And then you've got dimension. If you don't want dimension, then you don't need to do that. I'm just going to get these cables out of the way. There we are. Right. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I've already made a few flowers. So I've got, oh, now you can see these are slightly different. These have got something in the centre. So let's have a look at how we did that. But I've also cut out in silver and in white some foliage as well. And also I managed to find some green that matches the gems I put in the centre. So to do the gems, this was just a really old pack of gems I've got. You can see these here. So all I'm going to do, because they're so old, we're just going to pop a little bit of, actually I might use a little bit of 3D glue. So folks, I always get asked is what glue do I have in my syringe? At the moment, this is the one I'm using. It Sticks to silicone adhesive. It's a dimensional clear glue. Really, really good. This one is silicone based. Pin flare is silicone free, so it's entirely true. And I'm just using, the reason I decided to use this 3D glue rather than just like a liquid glue is because it means that they hold their shape. It, you know, it fills up that gap underneath, so it's a lot better. Put that one flat. Let's get another one of that size. On there, and then one of the larger ones. Come on, larger one. There we go. And one of the larger ones can go into there. I think I'll do it like that. There we go. Made quite a hash of those, didn't I? Okay, so they are looking lovely. So we now need to finish putting them on the card. So as you know, we've just got that padded effect, but I think we can get it looking even better. So to do that, I had a look around in my dies and I managed to find this set. So this was, as you can say, kit and caboodle. They're called cutting forms. And what you had was, you had sheets of images, you can see on here, that you put the dies over the top. So I found two that I like the size of, and they're just like label, they call them labels, this shape. And I found two, but you've got quite a bit of gap. So when I cut out two, you can see I've got a gap in between the two. So they get this lovely stitched effect. So to combat that, what I did was I took the smallest one, which I used to cut this, and then I got some mirror card, turned my mirror card over and drew around the outside just like that. Let my pencil draw a line. So if you turn your card over, make sure you turn your die over. And then I cut on the outside edge of that line. That then means that now when I put this onto here, I've got a matte layer, get it the right way around, that fits in the middle. It does when I hold it tight. So let's put those together. Let's go that one on first. Put that one on. And I'm just going to use a wet glue. This glue is nearly all gone. I said after my last project I needed to look out another bottle of tacky glue, and I haven't. And it had a little bit of a blockage. Right. There we go. Put that on. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. And so you can see how that fits absolutely perfect in there. And then I can do the next layer on just there. Make sure I've got that the right way around, because it's definitely a right and a wrong way. Now let's just see if that looks better if I turn it round one. Yes, that fits on better. Don't know why, but it just seems to. They are. So now, whoops, you can see I've got 3 layers out of 2 dies. Looks really, really pretty. So that needs to go onto the card. So let's take the stamping block off the top. to make sure we've got the card the right way. You know, I always like to do 10th fold. You could do side fold. Just having that block on top for a couple of minutes really, really firms it up. So I always like my what's this, foam tape to run up and down. So you can see we've not got a lot of colour on yet. We've got the texture with the quilting effect, and then we've also got lots of texture just here. So I'm going to pop that on just there like that. And then the other thing I've done is again, Lisa Horton, these are so old, but you know it's Lisa Horton because it's green. I have cut out a sentiment. So I just stamped Big Birthday Wishes, which I don't know where I got that from. I must have stamped it, and then I stamped it die cut it once, and then I moved the die up to cut it on the other side. And I'm going to pop that on here, and I'm going to pop it on with this and then some 3D glue. And the reason I'm doing the 3D glue, one, to raise it up a little bit more, but also to stop it sticking properly for now. So if I put that onto here, it'll then, I've got the height from the foam tape, but I've also got some wriggle room. So I'm going to pop that through the center just there, so it can still be lifted up because of 3D glue. So oops, notching that. Let me just lift it up to see if it's in the right place. I think that looks pretty good for now. So you can see we're on a lot of white at the moment. So let's then take the flowers and let's just pop these onto here. So I think I still want to be able to see some of the shaping, otherwise there's no point having that layer on, is there? So we can come under here. Actually, let's put that there, and then could we come like that? Could we? I never actually, before I started this, thought about how I was going to put everything together. Oh, I thought that was that one. I don't want it to be too symmetrical. It probably will end up being symmetrical, but actually, so should we try doing it as a mirror image? No, so that one needs to go that side. I definitely like that side. Like that. You'll notice whenever I do them, I always do. So then we could come that side. We could come. So we've got that sway. That works for me. I like that. Right, I'm going to pop those on. Should we work out where we want this? So then I've got my foliage. And my foliage can come in. I can use one of each colour, couldn't I? Silver, a white and a green. Do we want them all in the same, similar sort of place? Or do I want the white, that one there? And then I think maybe the green one. Yes. Right, so that's the layout I'm going to go with. So I'm going to go with my 3D glue. I could go quite easily with my hot glue, but I'm gluing card onto card because the vellum's already stuck down, so I don't need to worry too much. So let's put those, just that little bit just there. Oops, and then we can pop this one on. And like I say, the 3D glue just gives me wriggle time and, you know, chance to move things about. So let's just put, if I put that like that, I can pull it and move it, and then I can get this one, and then I can pop that just slightly over that banner. I think I'm going to have to put a bit more glue underneath that because it's lifting up a bit, but we can then take this one. That's, do we need that pushed in a little bit? And that one can go just there. So I'm just going to take this and pop a little bit more glue under there. Again, all of this that I'm doing now with 3D glue could be done with hot glue without any problems whatsoever. Let's just push that under there. Now this is probably going to need a box just because of all of the dimension. I need to pull it out because you can't see this, but otherwise, can you? There we go. So let's do the same on the other side. Let's press, I can afford to press that down a bit now. And that's going to go there. I can still see my label shape, which is really good. Oh, I haven't put my petals on, foliage on. There we go. We can do the white and the silver. So let's just, and again, this is the joy of the 3D glue, is I can lift things up and adjust them. And that one. And then I can take this one and I can just squeeze it under there. Now I did notice that I had a couple of gems left, if I can see where I've put them down. They're under my baby wipe. So let's just have a look at these and just see. I just want the smallest ones. Put one of the small ones there, one of the small ones just there. And do I want one more, or is that enough? I saw there was a one stuck on there, so I might just try and pull that one off. So that would give me my 3, but then I feel like it would be a little, oops, what did I do? I just dropped that. If I put that one there, I'm going to have to go 5, aren't I? Oh, you know me, wouldn't be making a Corrine card if I didn't have gems flying over my table. 4, and one more makes 5. Remember, 1s, 3s and 5s are the perfect number. There we go. And that, oh, that's gone a bit wonky. Let's get that back straight. Is that back straight? Yes, it is. There we go. How about that? Isn't that pretty? Now, that is probably the whitest card I have made in a very long time, but I really, really like that. That is so, so pretty. What do you think? A little bit of heat embossing on some vellum, a little bit of shaping, some embossing on the background. Like I say, if you're going to take the colour out, you need to put the texture in. Oh, my humble opinion anyway. So I think that really works with the foliage. If you want to just do some regular leaves, I might have a think about that. I might just put some regular leaves on before I've finished, and you'll see the picture at the very end of the video. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, there'll be a link to another video on the left and a link to the subscribe button on the right. It'd be great if you could like, leave a comment and make sure you have subscribed to my channel. Really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gives you a little bit of crafty inspiration to have a go yourself. So until next time, my crafty friends, you take care, look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye for now.